All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Let's just wait for some folks to join in and get settled. All right. We're seeing people coming in. Hello, everyone. All right. Yeah, I think we can start while folks are joining in. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So glad that you could join us for this webinar on building SQL data with Azure Synapse and DBSync. I'm Kayseline, and I will be your host for today. And we've got a really awesome session lineup for you guys. Joining me are two seasoned experts in data solutions. We have Kishore, who is the lead engineer at DBSync. Hi, Kishore.
Hi, Casey. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Kishore. And we also have Tejaswini, who is also a lead engineer at DBSync. Hi, Tejaswini.
Hi, Kissy. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. So, before we formally started, I just want to mention a few housekeeping items. So, this webinar is being recorded. So, an on demand recording will be available to all our registered attendees. And our chat is open for your comments and questions, which we will address a little after these presentations. All right. So, no further delay. Let's move on. Here's what we'll cover today. We have introduction to data warehousing, key characteristics of data warehousing, understanding Azure Synapse, why Azure Synapse. We also have concepts of Azure Synapse, introduction to DBSync's data replication. We have the implementation, best practices, and of course, you don't want to miss the demo to see how it works. We'll also discuss the benefit of using DBSync and a Q&A session at the end. So during the webinar, you can drop your questions, but we will answer them after the presentations. All right. So yeah, to kick things off, uh, let's first define what is a data warehouse and why it's important. Kishore, could you provide us with a brief overview?
Absolutely. A data warehouse is a centralized repository that stores data from various sources for reporting and analysis. Unlike traditional databases optimized for transaction processing, a data warehouse is designed to facilitate complex queries and historical data analysis.
Thanks for that, Kishore. That is a great definition. Um, we're also curious, like, what are some key characteristics of a data warehouse?
Sure. Some of the key characteristics of a data warehouse are it holds integrated data. This means that the data is collected from various sources, such as transactional systems, and then they are cleaned, transformed, and consolidated into a single view. This allows for easy access and analysis of the data and the ability to track the data over time. It can be subject oriented, which meaning that the data is organized around specific subjects or topics such as customers, products, or sales. This allows easy access to data relevant to particular topic and the ability to track and view the data over time. So it is also non-volatile, which is important because it allows to preserve the historical data, making it possible to track the trends and patterns over time. And we can also store time variant data. This is specifically with respect to accessing certain data within specific periods, such as last quarter or last year or specific month. So this makes it possible to track trends uh, over a particular pattern or over time.
Perfect. Thank you, Kishore. That really sets a solid foundation for our discussion today. Now that we know what is a data warehouse, let's dive into Azure Synapse. Kishore, can you also explain why so many organizations are choosing Azure Synapse for their data warehousing needs?
Of course, Azure Synapse Analytics offers several advantages. Firstly, it's highly scalable, allowing users to adjust resources based on their needs. Second, it integrates seamlessly with other Azure services like Azure Data Lake and Power BI, making it a powerful tool for comprehensive data analytics. Organizations can use Azure Synapse Analytics to store and process large amounts of data. We can also analyze data to gain insights, build machine learning and AI models on top of the data that we have, serve real time analytics queries, and also scale elastically as the needs change.
These are excellent points, Kishore. No wonder many organizations are choosing Azure Synapse for their data warehouse. But are there any specific features that stand out?
Yes, the unified analytics engine uh, experience is a significant highlight. It allows users to combine big data and data warehousing within a platform. Plus, it also combines robust features like make the most of your data. It also is low code environment and provides an intuitive UI for managing data pipelines. And you can also get improved access control and security, which is baked into the platform. So when we talk about make the most of your data, it allows you to use machine learning models as previously mentioned, and you can also gain insights from streaming and IoT data in real time. It is a low-code platform where you can use visual interfaces to always build out pipelines and create solutions more easily, which is end to end. And also, as since it's the platform is baked into the Azure cloud, it also has compliance standards, regulatory standards, and security built in, which allows for authentication, encryption, and yeah, any uh, threat detection.
I see. Thank you for that, Kishore. Now that we have a knowledge of data warehouse and Azure Synapse, moving on to our next topic, let's talk about DB Sync. So Tejaswini, can you give us an overview of DB Sync and its key features?
Yeah, absolutely. So, DBSync is a cloud integration platform that syncs data in real time between cloud apps and databases. So, it's easy to use and it comes with pre built connectors for popular apps like Salesforce and QuickBooks, which will in turn simplify your integration. Right. So, as you see on the slide, we have multiple endpoints for source and target as well. So you could choose from multiple connectors, like maybe your Salesforce CRM or your D365 and any other databases for that matter, based on your business requirement, like MySQL or SQL Server, or you have Postgres and many other databases that is made available as source in DBSync. And also, if I have to talk about the target, right, like we have multiple endpoints for you to choose from, like AWS Redshift, we do have Snowflake, we have MongoDB, IBM DB2, and AWS S3. So like we have multiple endpoints for your seamless integration. So we have web AI and UI and API and batch mode interfaces that is available in DBSync. And if I have to talk about benefits, we have like multiple, like data masking and logging and security, and all that will be discussing in further slides, Casey. So to give a pretty much brief about the DBSync platform.
Thank you, Tejaswini. That sounds very useful. I think, especially for those organizations where they want their decision making to be data driven, right?
Mhm.
But another question, Tejaswini, how does DB Sync complement Azure Synapse?
So basically, DBSync, it acts as a bridge that pulls the data from various sources, and then it feeds it into your target database. That here, in this case, it is Azure Synapse, which will ensure that your data warehouse is always up to date with latest information without having you to wait for manual interventions. So it's always up to date. So DBSync automatically adapts to changes in your source schema, keeping your targets database updated without any manual effort. So it also has strong encryption and access controls. So this DBSync will ensure that your data is secure and it is compliant before we transfer it to Azure, along with real-time data access. So this is like how DBSync will complement your Azure Synapse database while syncing through to your target, that is Azure here.
That is perfect, Tejaswini. Again, this means that with DB Sync, organizations can make effective decisions based on the most updated and accurate data.
Absolutely.
All right. Now that we've discussed the what and how, let's touch on some best practices for implementing these solutions. So, Tejaswini, you're the expert. What do you recommend?
So we have like several benefits that we have using DBSync replication tools, but here I would like to summarize and explore a few key aspects of this integration, where it offers a comprehensive data replication solution, because Azure becomes even more powerful with these type of replication tools, right? When we pair up with these kind of replication tools, so a few key aspects that I would like to mention. The very first thing is schema design. So you have to design your Azure schema to align with DB-Sync's replication requirements. So that is when it will ensure the performance is optimal, and also it is compatible with DB-Sync, and it syncs through without any hiccups. So next comes the monitoring and alerting. So we kind of want to implement the robust monitoring and alerting mechanisms to track this replication processes. So of course we'll have to detect any anomalies, and we have to support critical business operations. So for that aspect, implementing this monitoring and alerting mechanisms is extremely important. And next thing I would like to talk about is performance tuning. So we have to fine tune both DBSync and Azure configurations in order to optimize this performance, especially when we are dealing with high volume replication tasks, right? So Azure also has scalable computer resources, and it has parallel processing capabilities. So this will in fact complement DBSync's replication and enabling high performance and faster data transfer. And the next, lastly, I would like to talk about security, which is one of the key aspect here, which all the organizations are very keen about. So implementing encryption and access controls to safeguard the data is very much important. So here both DBSync and Azure offer robust security features, which includes REST and transcript encryption. So we are sure that this will ensure the data transfer to Azure via DBSync remains secure and compliant with industry regulations. So to summarize this, the integration between DBSync and Azure offers robust, efficient, and secure solution for your data replication. So it will harness the strengths of both platforms to ensure seamless data integration with real-time sync and unlock full potential of your data assets. So I think this is like pretty much about the benefits that I want to mention here, Casey.
Yeah, thank you for those great advice, Tejaswini. I think
Yeah.
following these best practices can significantly improve the effectiveness of your data warehouse. All right. So now I know everyone is excited for this. Let's take a look at the architecture of how these tools work together. Tejaswini, can you walk us through this?
Yeah, sure thing. Absolutely. So in this architecture, you have multiple data sources feeding into DBSync, right? So today, let's talk about mostly the syncing data from SQL Server to Azure Synapse, which serves as the central data warehouse, right, for Azure Synapse. So today, I'll walk you through a quick demo for just this integration between SQL Server to Azure, since our primary focus is for Azure. So before I start, I'm going to share my screen.
Yeah. All right.
Let me know if you guys can see my screen. Just a second. You should be seeing my DBSync landing page. Let me know if you.
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, so right now I'm on my DBSync homepage. That is, this is the landing page as soon as you log in. So once you have everything, that is the replication tool configured on your system. Once you log in, this is the first page. That is the landing page that you will be able to see. For you to create the profile or the project, you have to just click on Add App, as the name says, you and select your data source. In today's demo, we want to kind of sync data from SQL Server to Azure Synapse. So I'll be selecting my data source as database. So like I explained on my first slide, you can select the data source as the Salesforce CRM, or maybe your D365 CRM, may it be Business Central, anything for that matter based on your business need. But if you're syncing any data from database to database, that is your source endpoint and your target endpoint, if both are databases, likely you should be able to just select this one. So I have already configured my db to db profile to the ease of the demo today. So I have set up everything, that is my source, target, and all of that. But I'm going to quickly walk you through the steps that I have to follow before I go and replicate my data into the target database, that is my Azure Synapse. So once I click on the project, as you see, I will be on my source page. So these are the configuration details. That is very straightforward, as you see. This is the type, the source to select from. Today it's going to be SQL Server that we are demoing for. So I'm going to select SQL Server and further provide the host name. I am using my local system, that is my local SQL Server database. So I'm just going to give it as localhost, and the port that I'm using for is SQL Server is 1433, and the root and the username and the password that I have configured in my SQL Server. And the name suggests it is quite simple. I have created a database to demo today that is called Azure Demo, and I have filled up all the details in order to I'll test the connection, and it is established. Likewise, you can just click on next. You will be into your target page. That is nothing but your Azure Synapse database. So here you have multiple endpoints, like I mentioned. So today our target DB is going to be Azure. So I will select the type as Azure database, and the rest is are the same. Like I mentioned, you have to just give your host name and your username, password, and the database that you have created, into which database you will have to replicate your data to. So all these details you have to give here. And AAD password authentication is nothing but I have used auth user authentication here. Other, you can also use your SQL Server authentication. Since I'm using that, I'll be taking this checkbox and testing my connection further. So I have saved everything and I have tested the connection. But for you all to understand, I'm just going to test my connection. We want to do this because we have to make sure all the details are well written and connection is established to my Azure database before we go and sync the data through. So now this is done, the connection is established. So I'll just click on next, or I can even click on the object page. So I'll click on my next, and yes. So all the objects or the tables that you see here are from my source database. That is my SQL Server database. So I can select all the objects, or I can select just the account object based on whatever you need to sync into your database. So if I have to go through in detail, we have multiple other functionalities that I would like to explain here. But um, to brief about this, we can exclude any fields, or you can just exclude maybe more than one or more than two, any number of fields that you do not want to sync into your target database. Anytime you change your mind, you can always just put it back into your syncing fields. So any excluded fields will not be synced into your target database. So like this, we have multiple functionalities available for you to filter out. So here is the filter criteria. You can choose from multiple options or multiple business requirements that you have. You can filter out your data and then sync it to your target database. So right now I do not want to filter any data. Maybe I can just maybe I'll exclude this one. And okay, so if I want to sync up all the data, I'm just going to click on select all. And before I run the clean copy, let me walk you through this option that are available for us. If you do an update schema, it will just create an entire table structure into your target database, that is your Azure. And if you do a clean copy, it will clean your entire source data. It will replicate all entire data into your target database. So source to DB incremental is nothing but whatever changes have been made on your source database, right? It will be reflected onto your target database. So based on the last modified date, the filter that we are using right now, as you can see here, is the last modified date. So it will be picking up based on when it was last modified. So it will pick up all the records that are modified from that point and sync into your target database. So any changes on your source will be synced up with your target database when you run an incremental sync. So for now, I want to I have already created the database here. So this is my schema. Test is the name of my schema, and as SQL pool is my database in the Azure. So I have used my DBWord to connect to my Azure Synapse database. So as you can see, I'll just go to my DBSync and do a clean copy. So this is my Tomcat, and here you can see all the logs while running. Any errors, you can also download the logs, or maybe while running you can also look at this logs for any information that you need. So it has started. As you can see, the status is running, so let's wait for the sync to finish up. So we have all the details on the log page, that is the start date and end date and the duration, what duration the sync ran. And yeah, you'll be able to see here. You can also filter out from start date and end date, and also you can go search by profile. You have like multiple profiles run, right? When you want to search something, you can use this filter. We have multiple filters available in the logs page also, but to be precise about our integration to Azure, it is done. If I just go back to my database and refresh, you will be able to see everything that has synced. That is account, contact, invoice line, whatever I selected here on my object page, I have synced into my target database. So now let's try to change something. Maybe on my business requirement, some of my data changed, and I would want to run an incremental sync so that it reflects on my target DB as well. So I'll just quickly go into my SQL Server, and I can just give it as testing from SQL incremental sync. So I'm just going to update my sync ID 1, this record, to this particular name. And also I'll just change the last modified date. Since this is not a CRM, that is, it's not Salesforce or Dynamics or 365. This is not like a CRM in order to automatically pick up the modified on timestamp. This is database to database. So we have to pick up the timestamp from which it was modified. So it will pick up the last modified and it will sync through to target database. So as you can see, the name here is changed from the old one, that is test incremental, to testing from SQL incremental. Now I am just gonna, I believe I just ran this also. Go back to my tool and run source to DB incremental. So this is my incremental sync. So I'll go to Tomcat. It's running. You can see all the details that are here. Account, invoice line. Okay. Let's give it just 10 seconds. Okay, it is almost complete. It's true. And now I'm going to go and refresh my account database and run the sync here. I'm just selecting all the data available in my account object. Okay, so as you saw on your SQL Server, right? So the sync ID was 1. I updated the record which had sync ID 1, and I'm going to go back and check here, which has sync ID 1. So this has sync ID 1. So I will just check. So testing from SQL incremental. This was an record that I had changed. It had updated to my Azure database. So this way, any data, any field that you change on your source DB, that is your SQL server, will be automatically updated when you run an incremental sync. So it's not like every time you have to go and run the incremental sync, you can schedule the jobs here. So you have source to db incremental, and also you have you can customize based on your the time interval that you would want your sync to run, maybe in hours or minutes, or you can also write a cron job as to when your sync should be able to trigger based on your business. So that's how we are syncing up the data from my source to the target database. Casey, I think this should be helpful for now. And also we have like notification tabs which will help you to get all the email notifications. Your peers, one or more than two folks can receive email notifications. So when the process is started, completed, or if you want to receive only when it is errored out, you can also just choose to check that one and save the configurations. And also you can select from which days you want to receive. If you don't want to receive on Saturday, Sundays, you can exclude them. And all these options are available in our tool.
All right,
Yep.
let's move on to our next. Yeah, so that is a really great visualization, Tejaswini, of how these tools can work together, right? SQL and Azure
Yeah.
Synapse. And this very easy setup enables organizations to have a comprehensive and a unified view of their data. Actually, we have some benefits here, Tej, if you want to just mention some of them. Benefits of using DBSync.
Sure, sure. Let me quickly walk you through some key benefits of using DBSync for transferring data to your target, that is maybe here Azure. So, firstly, let's talk about this real time data availability. So, why do you wait for batch processing when you can have your data instantly? So, this is one thing that we want to mention. This will ensure that your data is updated instantly across the system without any delays. So, this is crucial for timely decision making, right? So, we will have real time data here. And next is minimize latency. So in this era of business, even milliseconds can make all the difference. So DBSync focuses on reducing delays in data transmission, ensuring the data is available with minimal lag. And then there is efficient data transfer. So this involves optimizing the transfer of data between the systems, reducing the bandwidth, while also ensuring faster data transmission. So next, we want to talk about scalability and flexibility. So the system should be handling increasing volumes of data and uses, right? So to adapt to varying data format and sources. So without extensive rework, so DBSync is very well versed with this. So we got extremely good scalability and flexibility here. So then there is analytics that I would like to mention. So here, better data leads to better insights, right? So it has like improved access to real time data. This is like more powerful and will have immediate insights to our data. So lastly, I want to talk about data masking and auto schema. So I already mentioned about auto schema on my previous slides, like how DBSync handles automatic schema changes. But yeah, security is one of the thing. Security without compromise. So we don't want to compromise security in any business for that matter. So data masking will ensure the sensitive information is protected during the transfer or when accessed by any unauthorized persons or systems or users. So, lastly, we have auto schema and bidirectional sync. As auto schema suggests, like I mentioned, automatic adjustments with zero disruptions. That is one thing we definitely want to mention here. And bidirectional sync is something that which allows to sync up data both the directions. So keeping source and target in sync without having to wait for anything. So changes keep occurring in either of them, but both are in sync. So this is what the bidirectional sync allows in replication. I hope this
Uh,
is it, Casey. This was helpful.
yeah,
Maybe.
those are very clear benefits of using DBSync, of
Hmm.
moving data from source to target. And I
Exactly.
think we've covered a lot of ground today. We can now move into, answering the questions that we have here. And if you haven't dropped your questions, please feel free to type your questions in our chat and we will address them one by one. All right. So let's see what we have here. Okay, this one we have from Carlos. So this is a question. Using DBSync, is it possible to connect to another types of data sources, not just databases like API services?
I will take this, Casey. So yeah, to answer this question, we do support other data sources. As Tejaswini mentioned in explaining in one of the slides, we support multiple CRMs or maybe accounting systems. Similarly, we support APIs also. Uh, it is supported within DBSync platform, yes, but not in the DBSync replication. We have a separate product called DBSync Cloud Workflow, which is something like an ETL solution where you can build pipelines and yeah, you can connect to APIs or any other services that you want to transfer the data between or query and use the data from other sources.
All right. The meaning it's possible, still
That's
possible,
right.
right,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
DBSync. All
Right.
right. Thank you, Kishore. We have another one here from Manuel. When I use DBSync, this make a copy in my environment to make easy the use of it, isn't it?
That's right. That's the exact use case you can think of. But yeah, replication in general is basically having a exact copy of your data on different databases or target systems so that you can build analytics or any other kind of um, any analytics or yeah the data lakes that you want to build.
All right, perfect. So we have another question here. So just keep your questions coming, guys. Still have time. All right, so another one. Before syncing data, I want to be notified with the list of changes. Is it possible?
Yeah, we do support that. We actually send out emails if there are changes with respect to rows, schema updates, or what objects or what table selections have changed within a profile. So yeah, you get notified on every change that you make. So it is all tracked, and you will be better notified on everything that is happening within the platform.
All right, perfect. So Lakshman, yes, that is possible. We also have another one here from Fernando. How many rows per second is capable to sync?
Um, this is actually a metric which we do have the metrics that is measured and stored within our databases, and we do have the list, but I cannot answer that right now on the call. But yes, we can send out details on how fast or what's the processing time and uh, other things with respect to the sync itself. And you can also get access to that on our wiki, which will be available there.
Mhm. Yes. So Fernando, you can always reach out to us. I will be providing you later on with the information so you can get more information about this. All right. So, okay, I think we have another one from Carlos. Okay. So, can we apply some transformations to data before the replication to the target, like cleaning data, remove spaces, removing null values?
Yes, Carlos, yes, we do support transformations with respect to how you want to segregate or maybe store your data before replicating. So this is possible through Cloud Workflow, as I mentioned earlier. You do have
Yeah.
option to select or connect to different sources, read the data, and make some transformations before actually replicating it to the target.
Yeah, on the mapping page. Like, however, whatever is a requirement, we do map it and then load it into the target.
That's right.
All right, that is perfect. Let's see if we still have more here. All right. Yeah, we do have more here. We kind of added them in the slides because this once we've got the questions in advance, we send out the emails. So we've kind of got them yesterday. Let me, okay. Now, another Carlos, just a minute. Another Carlos just dropped a question here. It's a different Carlos. Okay. Carlos Guzman, what good practice can be used for a data lake or a data mart in Sync?
You want to take this, Tejaswini? It's some of the best practice as we already mentioned, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's similar
yeah.
to
Like
what
I
we have.
mentioned, most important one is like schema changes. Sorry, like managing the schema for both. It should be the same. I mean, almost. And also that is one of the important thing.
All right. So yeah, let's go to the other slide. We have the advanced questions here. Let me, okay, that is not in this slide. Let me just remove this and kind of present. Okay, here. Now, can you see my screen, guys?
Yeah,
Do you see the
Yeah.
questions? Yeah. So yeah, these are the pre-submitted question we have from John Scar. How does DBSync map schema changes?
Okay. So, like I mentioned, right? We have like proper mechanisms that will handle this. So we can, get some more info from the dev and send out a document for that. But DBSync automatically adapts to this changes in source schema. So basically, it will compare the schema with the target. All right. So if there's any changes, it will be handled automatically and then updated without any manual effort. So it has that intelligence to adapt to any changing scheme or changes in the source schema.
All
that's
right.
right. Yeah.
Hmm.
You
So
want to
it will
add some
it
more,
will be
Kishore?
keeping the target updated without any manual effort or intervention. So it is continuously comparing
Mhm.
the schema between the source and the target. And if Kishore wants to add more, yeah, I think.
Yeah, as Tejaswini mentioned, it has the capability built in just to verify the data, metadata or the schema on both ends within the source and the target, and then it keeps in sync before it changes anything with respect to rows or the data that we sync.
So we know the
So,
auto detect
mhm,
capability is there and it is handled. But if we have to go in depth in technical details, I think we can get it from dev and
Yeah.
send out to the respective
Mhm.
folk. But it is always comparing between the source and target schema and able to analyze any changes that is made on either side. And that is how it is flexibility to adapt to the any changes on the schema, we
Yeah.
would say.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for that, Hedge and Kishore.
the
Johnny, if
next,
you're here,
mhm,
um, so all of these are like automated, right? So you don't have to set up anything else. This is what we call plug and play data replication. But yeah, if you want more information, I will be providing resources later on. All right. So next would be coming from Rodrigo. Does DBSync integrate with Azure Synapse's managed private endpoints? And is that RBAC, RBAC?
right? We do support, yeah, managed private endpoints, but yeah, we will have to confirm regarding the RBACs. Managed endpoint, yes, we can connect to that based on Azure authentication, AAD authentication. So yeah, it works without any issues.
All right. So I think this is the last question we have from Sashi. How does DBSync handle large scale ETL workloads?
Okay, so to answer this, we do have the mechanism where you can batch the load of your data. So you can configure the batch size according to the volume of data that you want to sync, or maybe what amount of data that you have within your source and target. As previously mentioned, schema changes are automatically detected. With respect to the data, yes, you would have to create pipelines in such a way that you handle that in batches so that you don't overload, or yeah, it's easier on the application, and also you would get much faster transformations and loads into your target.
And also we use checkboxes, right, Kishore, on Salesforce endpoint. If we are syncing data from Salesforce, we also use bulk API. If it all
Yeah, that's one of the
uh,
other things
other
that is
uh,
supported. Yeah, you can enable bulk API that would also enable
checkbox.
allow
Yeah,
you to,
yeah.
yeah, run faster syncs compared to the SOAP APIs that Salesforce provides. But yeah, in terms of databases, you can always configure the batch size that
Mm.
would help you manage the loads.
All right. So let's check if we have more questions here. I think that's it. That's the last one. All right. Yeah, thank you for those thoughtful questions. It's been a pleasure having you all join us today. And of course, a huge thank you to our guests, Kishore and Tejaswini, for sharing their expertise. Um, and yeah, for more uh, information and resources, you can visit our website at www.mydbsync.com. So you can check all the available supported endpoints with DBSync. And then if you have specific questions, you can always reach out to us via email or phone, as you can see here in the screen. Um, and then we also have our free developer plan, which is available in our website. So you can also check that out. And you can also schedule if you want a personalized demo, to address the specific needs of your business organizations. Feel free to contact us. All right. Kishore, Tejaswini, is there any more you want to add?
That is it, Casey. Maybe we can send out emails, or maybe we can contact if folks has more questions. I mean, that is it for now, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully we receive questions on
Yeah.
emails, or
Mhm.
maybe if they have any specific use cases that they want to um, discuss with us, yeah, please feel free to get in touch with us.
Maybe we can bring them up in our next
Mm.
coming webinars and give more
Yep.
insights on it. Yeah.
Yes, that would be perfect. So watch out for um, the emails that we'll be sending out after this webinar, or if we have any upcoming webinars, we'll be posting them in our page and in our website as well. So, yep, I think that's it. Again, thank you. Thank you for joining us today, and have a great day, you all.
And
Thanks,
thanks,
everyone.
everyone. Thanks,
Thanks you.
Casey. Thanks, Kishore. Have
Bye
a great
now.
rest of the day. Bye.